So what do you say we spend a little time in the garden today? All right, all right, all right. I don't know about where y'all are, but where we are here in South Georgia, it has been cold and it has been windy. Now, I can't take as much cold as some of y'all can, but 35 degrees down here and a 20-mile-an-hour wind is cold. And we hadn't made any garden videos in about a week or so because it's just the weather hasn't cooperated. It's either been raining, it's been too cold for me to want to get out here, or the wind's been blowing 20 miles an hour and you couldn't hear me because of the wind. So finally got a decent day out here. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, but got a decent day where it's warmed up a little bit and we can get out here in the garden. Need to harvest some things today. We need to do a little thinning on our onions and just kind of see how a few things are going in the garden. Let's start off here with some of these turnip greens which we need to harvest. This is a variety called all-top turnip, and the name suggests it doesn't make a root at all, but it does make a, like I said, decent sized little root there. Now, I'm not a huge fan of turnip roots, so I don't know if I'll eat these or not. May find somebody who does like turnip roots, but these things produce a lot more top consistently and are more of like a cut and come again crop as opposed to a standard, say, purple top turnip. Now, we transplanted these, but you can direct seed them. We transplanted these because Dad had grown some transplants out in the greenhouse and had some extras, and they were a little slow to grow at first because we've had such a cooler than normal winter. And it seems like it's raining every 3 or 4 days. I really haven't been able to fertilize things as much as I'd like to. You know, I don't really want to be pushing a lot of water, injecting a lot of water through this drip tape here if it's already wet. And the ground's pretty wet right now. And with the cold weather, the plants don't respond to the fertilizer like they do when it's a little warmer. So these have been pretty slow growing, but we finally got some decent leaves here, enough to harvest. A lot of times with these guys, as opposed to something like collards, and I think it's just because the leaves are a little more tender, I'll get a lot more pest damage on these, or I have to be a lot more proactive about spraying them. Now, I haven't sprayed these with anything in the last few weeks. And you can see there, we got a few little holes in that leaf there, but not a lot of damage. And I'll eat that right there all day, nothing to worry about. But I have seen situations where the bugs will come in here and just clean these things out, so we have to keep an eye on them and be kind of proactive with spraying them if we start seeing some serious problems. So this all-top turnip is it's a little milder than a traditional turnip. To me, it tastes more like a mustard green than it does a turnip. And when I cook greens, I know a lot of people, they like to cut up the roots and put them in there. I'm not really a big fan of that. I just like the greens. Like I mentioned, this is a cut and come again variety, so we can just, we don't have to pull them up. We can just cut them and the leaves will come back. So I'm gonna get me a good little harvest of these today. Just come in here, kind of cut them off at the base. Some of these leaves are a little bit yellowed at the bottom. We'll sort those out when we go to clean these things up, throw those away. We're gonna just come in here and cut us a good mess of them. We got this guy here we sacrificed to show that root. But I think a basket full here probably do us a good little mess of turnip greens. It'd be nice for these cool nights we're having here. So I'm gonna work my way along this row here and see if I can't fill up this basket.
Oh, 'cause I know that today holds more. Yeah, so much more. There's so much more.
Well, we didn't make it all the way to the end of the road, but we got us a nice little mess here. That's what we say here in the South. Some people use actually quantitative measurements to tell you how much they harvested, but down here we just say we got a mess. That just means we got enough to get a pot hot and cook a pot of greens. So we got us a mess here. Another thing I like about these all-top turnips, whereas traditional turnips can have some little spines on the leaves there and be a little prickly, these have a few, but not near as much as a traditional like purple top or a white turnip. So So the leaves are a little more tender and you don't have a lot of those spines on them, and just my favorite turnip to eat. We hear that from a lot of our customers too. If you give these a try, I think you'll like these greens a lot better than the other varieties. Now let's talk about our onions here behind me. So we've got an onion trial going on with about, I think, 8 different varieties of short day onions, which is what we plant down here in the south. Short day onions. They start bulbing when the day length reaches 10 to 12 hours. So some of these we planted late October, some we planted early to mid-November. Some of the ones I'm about to show you are the ones we planted in late October, and we're starting to see some bulbing happening there. Now, right now, just check my phone, we're at about 10 hours and 48 minutes of daylight per day. So, you know, the bulbing starts between 10 to 12 hours, but you kind of figure on the longer end of that for most of these. So the ones we planted later aren't showing any signs of bulbing yet, and we can still kind of pump the fertilizer to those. These ones that are bulbing, we're not going to give those any more fertilizer, just going to let them do their thing. Hopefully we've gave them enough thus far, got some good vegetation there to make some big bulbs. So let's take a look at some of these. We need to thin out and give room for the ones we're going to leave there to make some nice big softball size onions. So this here's the first row of onions we planted back in late October, and this is a variety called Plethora. And I've been really happy with it so far. There's a fellow down the road that bought his onion plants from a local feed and seed store and planted before I did, and mine have now outpaced his. So really like this variety. I know he didn't plant this variety because they don't have it at the feed and seed store. This is one we carry on our website, and we grew our own transplants for these. You can see there that the onion is starting to bulb. The bulb is starting to enlarge there, so has entered the bulbing phase, which means that it won't produce much more, if any, vegetation here. It's just going to devote all its energy to this bulb now. Now some people have asked, do you ring your onions or scoot the soil away from the base of the onions? And I don't do it intentionally. Sometimes it will happen as we're coming through here and kind of weeding with our single tine cultivator, but I don't purposefully do it. The theory is that you're giving a path of least resistance there to that bulb so it can get larger. But this soil is pretty soft, and as these things grow, they'll kind of push themselves up and outwards out of the soil. So it's nothing I ever really plan to do. If it happens when I'm weeding, then it happens. If it makes you feel better, go for it. But I don't ever really purposefully get out here and do it. So we plant these things pretty thick on purpose. We like to come in here and steal some of these green onions. And we also like to kind of thin them out and cull some. So we leave these here that look like have a little more promise to make some massive softball size onions, and pull some of these smaller ones in here that are a little bit behind. These, you know, the transplants could not have been as strong. Could be several reasons why this one isn't quite as big as this one. Now I think they'll all probably eventually get the same size. We'll go ahead and get some of these out of here. So we'll come in here and pull every other one, like this one right here, and use those as green onions. Eat them raw as a snack, or put them in soups, stews, all kind of good stuff like that. So we'll take these that we're thinning out here and we'll just clean them up a little bit. Cut those roots off the bottom of them. Nice good root system there. Kind of pull back some of these dead leaves here. Trim that off a little bit. And then I won't save this whole green top here because it doesn't fit very well in the fridge. So what I'll do, I'll just come in here and get my knife around it. Just cut them like that, and then we'll put those in a little bag in the fridge, and those will store for at least a week or so, and we'll eat them before then. A little dirt on there, but that's a dang fine onion right there. Nothing wrong with that. So we'll get every other one down this row here, throw them in this basket, throw them in the fridge, have some nice fresh onions while we're waiting on these guys to get really big. While we're out here, I wanted to show you guys my spinach. We put this where our basil suffered to the cold. This is our Avenger spinach. Yes, we planted it real thick in there, but I'm not gonna thin it. Just looks kind of pretty to me. Hopefully it'll get nice and filled out there between that double row. Starting to get some true leaves on it right there. And man, even though it's been cold, this Avenger spinach germinated super well. Really happy with that and looking forward to eating a bunch of that. And we planted some more spinach over here in this no-till plot. You might have seen that video. Abram helped me plant a row of spinach here. This is our fantail spinach, and he planted it. So he was very liberal with his seed application there. We ended up with a decent little straight row there, and filled out nicely. And that's starting to put on a few true leaves, as we see there. So that looks promising. Good germination here in the no-till plot. And also these vulture beets that Abram planted have came up well. We see a few little spots in there, but I have to give it to him. He did pretty good sprinkling them along that row there. A few little weeds we need to pull out of here, but looks like we're gonna have a good stand of beets and spinach in our no-till plot. And for the rest of the no-till plot, we've harvested just about everything out of here that we planted in the fall. There's a few heads of cauliflower there. I'll show you in just a second. A few heads of red cabbage over there. Everything else has been harvested, chopped, and dropped, and we'll soon come in here with another big load of compost, except on that end there. We'll let the spinach and beets do their thing. With the rest of this, we'll come in with another thick few inches of compost and just continue our no-till experiment here. Now we've got all the white cauliflower out of here. We got all the yellow flame star cauliflower out of here. And this purple was the last to mature. And this is my last good one right here. The latest one to the party. It ended up making a pretty decent head, considering we didn't have a whole lot of nutrient inputs in this plot. And right there make a nice little snack. Nice little healthy side dish there. So this variety is called Graffiti. And sometimes you grow these and they're real dark purple. Sometimes they're a little lighter. I think the colder the winter, it seems like you get a little discoloration there. Whereas if it's a little warmer, it seems like they're a little more dark purple. But either way, dark purple, light purple, anytime we can eat something that's got some color to it, we know it's full of good antioxidants and gonna be good and good for us. So not a whole lot going on in the garden right now, considering the weather we've been having. I've been absolutely itching to plant another round of English peas and direct seed, a few more cool weather things, but man, with these spells we've been having, just been a little bit too nervous to do it because worried I wouldn't get that great of germination with some real cold soil temps. Looks like tater planting might be pushed back a little bit this year. Doesn't look like I'm wanting to get those in the ground on February 14th like I normally do. And like I said, if it keeps being cool, it's going to push our whole spring planting schedule back a little bit, which is fine. You know, we'll be prepared for it, but you know, we'll just have to see. It doesn't look like it's going to really warm up anytime soon. Still having frost probably every week. They're talking about we could possibly even get some snow this coming up Friday. But we are able to get out here and still harvest some goodies that we planted in fall, take care of our onions a little bit, thin some stuff out, and enjoy a lot of good vegetables from the backyard garden. So let me know how your garden is doing out there. Are you still harvesting some stuff from fall? Maybe you've got onions in the ground that are starting to bulb like we do. Let me know how those are going. I know a lot of you are itching to get some plants or seeds in the ground, and the cold weather may very well be holding you back a little bit like it is here. I'll put some links below to all the varieties we harvested today, so you can head on over to the website and check those out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy this one, check out these other two videos right here. I think you'll really enjoy those as well. We'll see you next time.